Hi guys! Today I have a delicious summer cake recipe for you for this beautiful strawberry cake. I didn't use any artificial food coloring to make this cake. This beautiful pink color is all natural strawberries only. This cake is packed with strawberry flavor, and in my video today I will show you how you can make this beautiful strawberry cake for you and your loved ones. Let's get started with the recipe. First, you want to start by preparing the cake layers. For the cake layers, you need soft butter, sugar, vanilla paste, eggs, 1 organic lemon, buttermilk, flour, baking powder, baking soda, and freeze-dried strawberries. The first thing you want to do is to blend the freeze-dried strawberries. I'm using a spice grinder for that, but you can also use any other mixer that you have. While blending the strawberries, make sure that you don't have any big chunks or pieces left in the mix. If you notice that you have some big pieces, then just remove those or blend again until your strawberry mix looks like this. I decided to blend all of my strawberries right away, so the ones for my batter and also the ones for the buttercream. If you're also going to do this, then you want to store the blended strawberries in an airtight container or cover your bowl with some cling film. Otherwise, the strawberries might absorb some moisture and they won't be powder-like like we need them to be for the batter and for the buttercream. And now we can start preparing the cake layers. For the cake layers, you want to add in the softened butter, the sugar and vanilla to a big bowl, then beat it for 3 to 5 minutes until soft and pale. Then add in the eggs. You want to add in the eggs one at a time and beat after each addition for at least 30 seconds until it's all well combined. Only then you want to add in the next egg. After you've added all of the eggs, this is how the mixture should look like. It should be really soft, pale and fluffy. Now what you want to do is to grate the lemon zest directly into your dough. Here you just want to make sure that you use only the yellow part of the zest because the white part can be quite bitter. Then you want to half the lemon, juice half of the lemon and add in about 1 tablespoon of the lemon juice to your buttermilk. Mix it shortly, then also mix the flour with baking powder and baking soda and start by adding about half of the flour through a sieve to your batter. After you've added the flour to your batter, you want to beat it for about 10 seconds on the lowest setting, then add in about half of the buttermilk. Also continue beating on the lowest setting, then add in the rest of the flour. Beat again on the lowest setting for about 10 seconds, just until it's almost combined. Add in the rest of the buttermilk while beating again on the lowest setting and only until it's almost combined. Finally, I'm adding in my freeze-dried strawberries. I'm adding in all of the strawberries, beating again on the lowest setting just until it's almost combined, and then mixing with a spatula through the bottom, just making sure that everything is combined and I don't have any dry spots. This is how the batter should look like once it's ready. It's really nice and soft and creamy. Then you want to butter your baking tins and divide the batter evenly into the baking tins. The baking instructions and the complete recipe can be found down below in the description box. After you've baked your cake layers, you want to test that they are baked through. You can test like I'm showing now with your finger or also with a wooden skewer. If the wooden skewer remains clean while testing, that means your cake layers are baked through and you can remove them from the oven. After you've removed them from the oven, you want to allow them to cool in the baking tins for about 10 minutes. After that, remove them from the baking tins and allow to cool completely on a cooling rack. Only once your cake layers have completely cooled, you want to continue making the cake. What you can also do is to bake the cake layers one day in advance and allow them to cool overnight before you continue making the cake. Once the cake layers have cooled, we are going to prepare the buttercream. For the buttercream, you need eggs, sugar, butter, vanilla paste, and freeze-dried strawberries. First, you want to separate the egg yolks from egg whites, add the sugar to the egg whites, whisk shortly, and transfer the bowl to a water bath. Insert a thermometer into the bowl and start heating the mixture. We want to heat it to 72 Celsius degrees. While you're heating the mixture, it's important to continuously mix it. Once you've reached the 72 degrees, you want to remove the bowl from heat. And what I also like to do is to transfer the mix into another bowl. That allows the mixture to cool faster. Then we want to allow it to cool until the bowl feels just slightly warm. And then you can start beating the egg whites with a mixer, and you want to beat the egg whites until they are really soft, shiny and white. I'm making my buttercream with a hand mixer, but you can also make the buttercream in a standing mixer. Once the egg whites look like this, you want to check whether the bowl is cool. At this point, the mixing bowl should not feel warm. Only then we can start adding in the butter. Before I add the butter, I'm also adding in my vanilla paste, and I'm adding the butter in small additions. So you want to add in a little bit of the softened butter, whisk it in on the highest setting until it's almost combined, and then add the next bit of butter. We are adding the butter little by little and mixing it in after each addition. If you're making your buttercream in a standing mixer, you don't need to stop the mixer each time you add in more butter. At some point, it can be that your buttercream looks like this. Don't worry, you did nothing wrong. The buttercream has not been ruined. You just need to keep on whisking until the buttercream goes nice and creamy and fluffy like this, like I'm showing you in the video. Then once you've reached this consistency, the buttercream is really soft, pale and creamy. You want to leave a few spoons of buttercream aside. We are going to use this buttercream for decoration, and it needs to be colored really dark pink. I'm adding in the freeze-dried strawberries here little by little because I was making this for the first time and I wasn't sure how much strawberries I need to add. But you can add in all of the strawberries right away like instructed in the recipe. Mix them in until you have this kind of a really beautiful dark pink color. Then you want to also add in the freeze-dried strawberries to the rest of the buttercream. Whisk shortly until everything is combined, and here you should have a really light baby pink kind of color. Then just give it a short mix with a spatula to make sure that everything is well combined. And I'm just gonna show you, so the two buttercreams, they should have two different shades. Here in the video you can't really see how big the difference is, but if you look at the finished cake you can definitely see the difference in those two colors. And then once we have the buttercream ready, we are going to prepare the filling. For the filling you need cream cheese, whipping cream, sugar, vanilla paste and fresh strawberries. You want to start by whisking the whipping cream until soft peaks. Then in a separate bowl add the sugar and vanilla to the cream cheese. Whisk with a mixer until everything is well combined. Then add in about half of the whipping cream. Whisk again just shortly until almost combined. Add in the rest of the cream and whisk again until the cream is nice and thick and creamy. It should be really nice and soft but still hold the shape. This is a perfect cream for the filling. And now that we have the cream ready, we only need to chop the strawberries. And now we can start filling the cake. What I like to do is to fill some of my buttercream, so here the lighter shade of the buttercream, into a piping bag, and then pipe this kind of a border with the buttercream along the edge of the cake layer. I do this always when I'm using a soft cream filling. This way the cake will keep its shape and also the cream won't spill out of the cake cake layers. After I've made the buttercream border, I like to connect the buttercream with the cake layer with this kind of a spatula. This will also help the softer cream stay inside and not spill out of the buttercream. Then I like to just shortly smoothen the outer edge with the spatula, and after that add in about 1/3 of your cream filling on top of the cake layer and smoothen it out over the cake layer. Now grab lots of strawberries and add the strawberries on top of the cream. Press them lightly into the cream and add in about 1 tablespoon of the cream on top of the strawberries and spread it out evenly. Here you want to make sure that the cream filling is not higher than the buttercream border. Now we can place the second cake layer on top, and here just make sure that the cake layer is nice and even with the bottom cake layer. Then you can slightly connect these two cake layers with the buttercream. After that you want to follow the same steps until you filled your cake. What I also wanted to show you is if you're making the border with the buttercream but it's not quite at the very edge of your cake layer, don't worry. What you can do is to push the cream, so push the buttercream border with the spatula while you're connecting the buttercream with the cake layer. This way you will have the border exactly where you want it to be. If you notice that you have pushed the buttercream border a little too far, then you can again smoothen the outer side with the spatula and it will be exactly where you want it to be. Then again you want to add in the cream filling, top it with the fresh strawberries, then add in a little bit more of that cream, smoothen it out, and now we can add in the last cake layer on top. Here I noticed that my buttercream was not quite high enough. What you can do is to just gently push the cake layer onto the buttercream, but be careful, don't push it too hard so that you won't start pushing the cream filling out of the cake. So if it's not possible for you to close these gaps with the buttercream, don't worry. We can close these gaps with the buttercream like I'm showing here in the video, and then we are going to smoothen it out with the spatula again. After you've closed all the gaps and you've slightly smoothened the buttercream, what you want to do is to cover the whole cake with a really thin layer of buttercream. This layer is called crumb coat, and it's important to cover all the cake layers with the buttercream so that the crumbs, so the cake crumbs will stick to the buttercream, and once we chill the cake and start covering the cake with the next layer of buttercream, the crumbs will stay attached to this coat of buttercream and our buttercream will stay nice and smooth. What I also like to do to finish the crumb coat is to smoothen the buttercream with a scraper. Then you want to chill your cake, and you want to chill your cake from half an hour to an hour until the buttercream has had time to chill and harden. So before you continue decorating your cake, you want to test that this layer is cold enough. You can do this by just touching the buttercream with your finger, and if your finger stays clean and there is no marks on the buttercream, that means the cake is cold enough and you can continue with adding the next layer of buttercream. Now you just want to spread a really thick layer of buttercream over your cake so that all the cake layers are well covered. Here you don't want to spend a lot of time smoothing out the buttercream. You just want to add in the buttercream with the spatula over your cake layers because we are going to smoothen it with a scraper. Once you've added the thick layer of buttercream on your cake, you want to grab a scraper tool and smoothen the buttercream with the scraper tool. Make sure to clean the scraper tool once in a while when you are smoothing the buttercream, and then you will see these kind of gaps or holes on the cake where you need to fill in with some more buttercream. Then you want to grab your spatula and again add some buttercream on those spots. Here again, you don't want to smoothen these bits too much because we are going to smoothen the buttercream again with the scraper tool. It may be that you will need to repeat this step a couple of times until you have a really nice and smooth cake. Once you're happy with how the cake looks from the outside, so the sides of the cake, we can also start smoothing the top of the cake. If you will notice that your cake is not quite even from the top, now you can also smoothen the top with the extra buttercream. Usually when I'm using these cake layers and also filling the cake like I showed you in the video, I don't need to smoothen the top much because the cake is nice and even after I've filled it. But if it happens to you that you've filled a little uneven somewhere, it can be that the cake is not quite even on the top, and then you can just add to the lowest point a little more buttercream, smoothen it out, and you will have a nice and even cake. After you've filled the top of the cake and you're happy with how it looks like, you can smoothen the buttercream and also start to smoothen the edges of the cake, like I'm showing you here in the video with the spatula. After each time that you smoothen the cream, you want to clean the spatula before you continue. Now that we've covered our cake with the buttercream, it's nice and smooth, we can start decorating the cake. For decorating the cake, we are going to use the dark pink buttercream. I filled the buttercream into a piping bag with this kind of piping tip. All the details on the equipment that I've been using in the video will be linked down below in the description box. To decorate the cake, I'm piping this kind of little simple roses of buttercream on my cake. If it's your first time making this kind of buttercream decorations, you can start by piping the roses on a plate to practice, and after that start decorating your cake. After I had my roses piped, I also decorated the cake with some tiny basil leaves. The cake has a really beautiful natural pink color. I really loved this really simple cake decorating technique, and I hope you're gonna like it as well and try it out. On the inside, the cake also has a beautiful natural pink color, and it's fully packed with fresh strawberries. Enjoy! I hope you enjoyed my delicious strawberry cake recipe. I decided to try whether I can color the cake layers and also the buttercream with only using strawberries. I used freeze-dried strawberries and I'm super happy how the cake turned out. It has a beautiful pink color. It's not as vibrant pink as if you would use the artificial food coloring. It has a more natural pink color, but I think it's absolutely beautiful. And because of the freeze-dried strawberries in the buttercream, the cake has a beautiful strawberry aroma. I hope you like the idea of using freeze-dried strawberries instead of the artificial food coloring, and I hope you're going to try it out. If you enjoyed my recipe, don't forget that thumbs up for support, and also if you're new to my channel, then you can subscribe right now, and don't forget to tap the bell so you won't miss any of my new recipes. Thank you for watching my video. Bye bye until next time.